The Senate will come to order. Members, please stand for the prayer. Today's chaplain is our very own Senator Dan Hall from Senate District 56. And following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. This morning I want to start out with a verse from Proverbs. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path." Let's pray. So Lord, there's a lot going on right now, and our hearts are heavy for all the sickness and deaths, job losses, businesses failing, a lot of frustrating and a lot of deep pain, Lord. There's freedom that we feel like we've lost. Sometimes we have a hard time trusting, but we put our trust in you today. Our Maker, our Creator, you knew us before we were born. You know the beginning and the end of this situation. Your love is never failing. So we lay this day, our government before you, the crisis that we have before you, and we ask for you to bless our country and our state, those in authority over us. Encourage our governor to be wise in all that he does. Encourage our president to be wise and know what the steps are ahead of us. So we ask for your blessing. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Thank you, sir. The Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abler, Anderson B., Anderson P., Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Cohen, Swazinski, Dames, Dibble, Draheim, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Franzen, Friends, Gazelka, Goggin, Hall, Herr, Hayden, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Jensen, Johnson, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Lane, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Little, Marty, Matthews, Miller, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Pratt, Rarick, Ralph, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Simonson, Sparks, Tomasoni, Torres Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
A quorum is present. Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson B., Bigham, Carlson, Clausen, Dames, Eaton, Hayden, Klein, Lane, Lang, Latz, Little, Newman, Newton, Pappas, Ralph, Rest, Rude, Senjum, Sparks, Torres-Ray, Uyghur, and Wicklund. Members will begin on the Senate agenda today with the second order of business, executive and official communications. Please make note of the communications listed in the agenda. There's no further. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that the notary's public be laid on the table.
Discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members voting in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Moving to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills. Listed in today's introduction calendar are Senate files 4544 through 4561. These Senate files will be given their first reading and referred as indicated. Remaining under, move to the ninth order of business, motions and resolutions. There are a few authors' motions listed in the agenda. We will take these authors' motions as one motion with the exception of the Senator Abeler motion on Senate File 3694. That will not be included in the authors' motions. So on the authors' motions, with the exception of Senate File 3694, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made for special orders for immediate consideration. The four bills in the sheet is on the members' desks.
Members, the first bill up for consideration is number 98 on general orders, Senate File 4494. Senator Westrom.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. This Senate file is a very important bill for our students across the state of Minnesota and helping out with more broadband in areas where rural broadband or broadband in general is not available. Generally, that's more in rural counties, but members, that is not exclusive to just rural counties. There are many townships just outside the metro that have problem getting high-speed internet for their students working at home under distance learning. There's even areas in Hennepin County. The map from the Office of Broadband still shows 1% of Hennepin County in areas that are low or unserved with broadband. And so this covers the entire state to help improve broadband access for our students and for distance learning, for telehealth, and for those generally trying to work from home during this COVID-19 pandemic. And everyone's lives have been reordered, changed up, and one of the big things we are seeing is the need for telecommuting, telework, telehealth, teleeducation, and that's what this bill is about. Some emergency money to help the rural broadband situation in areas where students aren't able to do the distance learning like other students that have access to high-speed internet. And so, members, what this bill will do will help fill in some of those gaps during this emergency COVID-19 period. Our schools, as we know, have been committed to distance learning over the last 2 months of their school year. Many families have access to internet, but many do not. Just looking at the map across the state, which the Office of Broadband has on their website, but just to highlight a few different areas, it's not just one pocket. Bertha Hewitt is on the map with only 8% access to wire broadband. That's one of the lower ones. That's right in the center of Minnesota. Barnum up by Duluth has 31% access to wire broadband high-speed internet. Houston down in the southeast corner with about 38% only. And members, those are just some of the examples. Many places have more broadband access than that, but many of them have 10 and 20% of their areas not covered in certain specific districts. And so this bill is to target those areas and the need for high-speed internet access for students to distance learn, and for public health and hospitals to help with telehealth concerns and needs, to serve customers, to serve students, to serve consumers during this COVID-19 pandemic. And so let me walk through the bill and why we should pass this bill right now. This bill would have $20 million targeted with COVID-19 emergency funds. Hopefully the federal funds will cover all of this. We have designed this bill to use federal funds first, and in some cases, the only way we're going to expend these dollars is as long as the federal funds are able to be used and it meets those criteria. But let me walk through this $20 million. We've worked with the House on this bill. We've worked with different interest groups, and we've been responding to the need that we've seen in the news and talking to our constituents that we know is real and exists. The need for students that have to drive 20 and 30 minutes from home to go sit in their car to do homework outside the school just so they can get Wi-Fi or high-speed internet access, or go sit at the McDonald's if they have one close. But that's not a scenario in rural Minnesota, that you usually have some of those businesses that provide free Wi-Fi nearby, because when you live 10 and 20 miles out into the country, you are in a rural area and those businesses merely do not exist in those small towns. And so people have been creative. We are a resilient people here in Minnesota, but we want to help out in those areas with those students that need to drive to school to do their homework, as opposed to being able to sit at home, the comforts of at home, having mom and dad nearby to help out when there's a question, or a big brother or big sister, or somebody else that might be able to help them, rather than having to sit in their car outside our schools to distance learn during this pandemic. And so I want to walk through the $20 million is divided up in three pots. $8 million for education, dollars to help schools that have come up or need to come up with creative ways to help those students that don't have access to high-speed internet. In some cases, it's families that haven't had the ability to have internet prior to March 13th when this pandemic started. And so if they didn't have access to internet, the schools may have negotiated and worked things out or even provided it in some instances that we've heard. But we're encouraging them to be able to apply for these dollars to help with their budgets because they've done the right thing. Or if they haven't worked that out yet, maybe this will help them be able to work that out. Now that's a good situation if you've got access to high-speed internet, and a few families that haven't had access or don't have internet in their home for various reasons are able to get it through the school negotiating with local internet providers. In many cases, we've heard internet providers are offering it at a reduced or even free in some cases for the next couple of months during this pandemic and the end of the school year. That's a great situation. So we want to enable, we want to foster those school districts to find those creative solutions, but help them out where there's some costs that aren't part of their bottom line either. There's other areas that maybe a hotspot is the only way a student is going to be able to get internet access to do their learning through the cell towers. There's not an internet provider with high-speed internet in their area. That is another option, although it's often not as affordable and it's quite expensive. But this would allow for these emergency type internet options where they can find them and where they can be available. Now this won't cover everybody, but this sure will cover a lot more in the state of Minnesota, and with working with our schools, our families, and our students can gain access to finish their school year online and through email, through internet access, and be able to do it in the comforts of their own home is the intent and the goal of this part of the legislation. But it is targeted to those that are unserved and those that have this scenario where they need to get access to high-speed internet to be able to do their distance learning. And so that's the target of this emergency bill and these emergency dollars for these students. As we were working on this $20 million, the need came up for telehealth. We are seeing an expansion enormously in telehealth. Some of this is going to be good and revolutionize the way we all can receive some health care and some doctor visits in the future, perhaps. Maybe we don't always need to go into the doctor's office when we're sick or ill, and this is making everybody rethink this. I hear that from constituents, I hear that from medical professionals as we're talking through this. But one of the dilemmas is that some of our public health nurses, our rural hospitals, don't have quite the equipment or the infrastructure to handle the quantity of telehealth appointments and calls that they are needing to make during this pandemic. And so this $2 million would be grants to help our community, rural health, either a critical access hospital, our public health nursing organizations across the state that are trying to reach out and do telehealth medicine, but because of the quantity and the need for it right now, they are finding the weaknesses in their system, and they are not able to handle this in many cases, and they need some upgrades, some improvements in that telehealth equipment, and that's what this $2 million will be used for out of the $20 million. And then, members, the last $10 million goes to directly help the unserved areas in rural Minnesota or rural metro areas that do not have access to high-speed internet. It all feeds into needing that access to high-speed internet, and during this pandemic it has exemplified. The news stories that we've seen on this are widely spread across the state. Channel 5 has covered this a few times, I've seen. Other stations have talked about it as well. Our own Senator Klobuchar has highlighted this. We have highlighted this in the Senate. That's why I'm bringing this bill forward. The House is discussing this as well. And this $10 million needs to go in to help build out more unserved areas to have a permanent solution to deal with pandemic situations like we're experiencing now, as I've discussed, the education of our students, the ability for moms and dads to work from home, telecommute while they're taking care of their kids, to do their jobs, telehealth, and the sky is the limit with internet. And we all know high-speed internet has become an essential utility. It is like the electricity of the past, 80 plus years ago. My grandparents, even my parents, talk about the limited access to electricity, especially in rural Minnesota. And this $10 million will help build out that rural broadband across rural Minnesota to help make permanent infrastructure improvements so more and more families and students have access to that high-speed internet utility that has become an essential part of today's lives, just like electricity was 80 years ago. And members, nowadays, there's nobody that thinks about living without electricity. Yet 100 years ago, that was pretty common. We're getting into a day where you can't live without high-speed internet. It means rural economic development. It means education for our students and college students. It means work options. It means connecting you to meetings that are miles and miles and hundreds or thousands of miles away in some cases, and you can do it right from your own office, right from your own home, if you have that connected ability for high-speed internet. And so, members, this $10 million will go to target those unserved areas through our rural broadband program that we have set up here about 6 years ago in the legislature. But the target is unserved. Our current program, as you know, builds out underserved and unserved. This is targeted to unserved areas, and it is also dollars that are targeted to those areas, but it is also directed to fit within the federal criteria for federal aid. The federal government has been passing stimulus packages, and they have targeted some broadband dollars. We believe this will fit into that category. And members, supporting this helps build out more rural broadband in areas of our state where there's a sparse population or a population growth that has gotten ahead of the ability to provide high-speed internet, especially in areas right around the metro. And I've heard of those townships as well. And so, members, I urge your support of this bill. This $20 million of emergency funding will be a great investment for more rural broadband in our state, some temporary dollars, but also permanent dollars to help fix that problem. Because when we invest in these areas permanently, those students, those workers, those people needing telehealth consultants will have a permanent solution to access their school, their job, and their doctors. And so, members, I urge your support of this $20 million of emergency money for rural broadband across the state of Minnesota. I stand for questions, Mr. President.
Discussion on Senate File 4494. I have Senator Abler, followed by Senator Frentz. Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and members. And Senator Westrom, I think you're really onto something. I don't live out. We have the privilege of having pretty good coverage according to your pictures here, and I can't imagine the challenges that some of these greater Minnesota places have not having access to broadband. And I totally support your bill, and I think it's really good. I hope you can make it fit into the framework it needs to be. And so I was reading the bill over, and then there was a part of the bill I didn't understand that I was thinking to offer an oral motion to delete, and then you persuaded me that was not a good idea. But I just wanted to, maybe you even want to enlighten us about that later, because it's a nice feature, actually. On page 5.15 to 5.20, it talks about grants that can come to help actually decrease the burden on some of these local institutions that are going to be getting the grants up to 5% or more. So the part I was concerned about was that if the grant is matched by 10% or more from non-state entities, including townships, cities, counties, foundations, nonprofits, and I would suppose small businesses and other local groups, that clubs that wanted to help, that would be exactly what you're looking for. And so I thought it was first a requirement And that was my concern, but now I see it's a bonus. And so if you can find the money from those groups, then that's going to be awesome. But I just wanted to caution you that, that I think that money might be kind of hard to come by. If you stopped into the Bachelor Farmer or the Marble Bar or Muddy Waters Bar and Eatery or the Egg and I in Minneapolis, and probably many other places across Minnesota, they would be happy to help, except they're closed. They're never going to open again. And so there's no way they're going to be in a position to help you about that. And which is just really tragic to me as I see my city and so many cities across Minnesota languishing. And I think they would really love to help you, to help even out of their own areas. I know I have cities and businesses in my area that would love to make sure that all students have a chance to learn and not just worrying about my own district and school district, but they want to make sure every child in Minnesota gets a chance. And so some people think these businesses that are closing are a bunch of rich fat cats. And in today's paper, there's a picture of the Muddy Waters crew, and they're a bunch of, looks like millennials. I don't think they're that rich, but I think that their dreams are just going to be junk. And in the same paper today, it says small businesses bear the biggest burden. And so I've stood up on this floor now 9 times in a row trying to be respectful, and sometimes in my tweets I may have gone a little, not said things as carefully as I want. My concern is this, Mr. President, that these businesses that have been the backbone of our towns want to help on programs like this. They want a chance to serve their towns, and they want to do it safely. And so it's a good idea. And so what I've asked the governor is, could you at least give us hope and a vision about what's going to happen at these places? And suggesting that maybe as some of the administration go walk around the state and go to Target and then go walk down their closed main streets, and they're like, wow, it would be safer to shop on this closed main street. So, Mr. President, I didn't come to belabor this today, but I think it's a big deal. But I know when it comes to not this just fundraising opportunity, but the local youth sports, the local Boy Scouts, all those clubs that are so dependent upon local donations and charity, it's not going to happen. And I don't know what's going to happen to that. At least, Senator Westrom, with your bill, the program's going to go forward, and I hope that there's people around that can find a little access to help get more of these students to have broadband. So thanks for the bill, Senator, and I can't wait to vote for it. Thank you.
Further discussion on the bill. Next on my list is Senator Frentz, followed by Senator Curran. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Westrom, for bringing this bill forward. I hope this passes unanimously. It should. We've heard too many stories about students who live in areas where they're expected to go to school and they don't have internet. That story alone should tell us why rural broadband should be a priority across the state. Every Minnesota student deserves the same opportunity. We cannot have kids driving to Hardee's or McDonald's anymore to do their homework. This bill also deserves credit for the grant program that enables telemedicine, which I think will be one of the legacies of this pandemic, is that counties will be delivering health care telemedicine-wise, and I want to thank Senator Westrom for including that in here. I also want to thank the Finance Committee for sorting through the issue of the $10 million. Senator Champion, I know you're watching. Thanks for your work on that. Senator Rosen, thanks for getting it there. This is our Senate position in this bill. It may have to go to conference, and that's fine, but let's send a strong message that we are there for Minnesotans who do not have internet access from 0 to 80 years old, and a yes vote on this bill will do that. Thank you, Mr. President.
The next member I have to speak is Senator Curran, and then I don't have any further members on the list until after third reading. Senator Curran.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of the broadband bill, and I know Senator Westrom's put in a lot of hard work, and we've had a lot of great conversations, but the bill doesn't go far enough from a policy perspective. I think when you look at broadband, and I think everybody's received the map that was just handed out, and Senator Abeler referenced it, it references access to rural broadband. Unfortunately, it refers that 91% of Minnesotans have broadband. Well, that would mean my entire district, or none of them they have no broadband. Those are arbitrary numbers picked on an arbitrary measurement of what broadband access is. If you look at today's modern capacities and needs, it's 100 meg down and 10 meg up. When you lay that map over the current map that you see, over 50% of rural Minnesota doesn't have access to broadband today. I'm tired of being 10 years, after 6 years of the program, the vast majority of Minnesota is still a decade behind from access capacities and modern services. I think what the exercise that we're going through today highlights that the outcomes of this are going to be very dramatic. I think the private sector is going to drastically change the number of office spaces that they occupy. My district is 70% a bedroom community. It means that we have a ton of people that commute to the cities, and today they're not. Today, the greatest challenge is that they don't have access. Our schools, Senator Westrom did a good job at highlighting the schools and the special funding. It's critical. But I think our first segment is going to be the private sector, going to move very rapidly. But they can't do it when we don't have modern capacities. So what I'm proposing is, and not on this bill, but I think every member in this body should think about, now's the time to redo our broadband policies. We should be requesting and demanding 5 times more access for every single state dollar we put into the programs. We know there's a big challenge or issue with wireless technologies, but today, point-to-point wireless technology has emerged to the point where you can get 250 meg up and 250 meg down, gives us modern capacities and speeds that we can operate for at least a decade. I think we should also advocate that every single federal dollar we get pointed to broadband be block granted to the state of Minnesota. We can do a far better job at knowing where those dollars go, and then we can make them go 5 times faster or 5 times further. I also think that now's the time we've got to revamp and put together a 5-year plan. We've talked about the needs. They're not going away. In fact, they're only going to increase for our schools. Think about our mental health capacity. Every single facet of our life is going to be impacted by it and the need. I think really today is the time that we have to sit down, pass this bill. This is a very good bill. It puts $10 million back into the broadband pool in addition to the $20 million we already have. But I think we have to really work on the Office of Broadband to change the policies. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it here. I think every point-to-point wireless program should score higher. We can deploy 5 times more solutions with the same dollars. And so now's the time to rewrite that plan. And again, I rise in favor of this bill. Thank you.
The Secretary will give Senate File 4494 its third reading.
Senate File Number 4494, a bill for an act relating to telecommunications, establishing a grant program for distance learning equipment, establishing a grant program for telemedicine equipment purchased to deal with COVID-19.
Third reading. Members, next on the list I have Senator Eakin, followed by Senator Nelson. Senator Eakin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of this bill. I'd like to thank Senator Westrom for bringing it forward. We know that broadband, rural broadband, broadband generally is a necessity now. It's not a nicety, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And this pandemic that we're experiencing really places a spotlight on that fact and highlights that fact that it is currently a necessity. And I think it's important to note that it is the rural areas that are struggling the most with this, and we as a state need to make sure that everyone in the state, all children, all citizens deserve to have access to high-speed internet services. The metro area can't hope to be an island of prosperity in a sea of economic decline. We all sink or swim together. The best example of that, Senator Westrom already referred to, was the electrification of rural Minnesota and rural America, and how important that was and how that transformed the lives of people in that generation. Senator Westrom talked about his grandparents telling him stories, and I had my father tell a story about when electricity first came to their farm. And he actually wrote it down. It was, and I mentioned him last week in another speech that I gave, that he was suffering from dementia, and he started writing down his memories because he wanted to hang on to them longer, and he also wanted to pass them along to us. And one of those memories was when electricity came to the farm, and he said that out in the barn they used to use lanterns, and they gave off a dim light, so he said your eyes had to kind of adjust to the darkness, just kind of like a cat in the dark, but your eyes would adjust. But then he said electricity came and the barn was filled with light bulbs all over the barn, and it was just bright. And he said that at the end of chores, shortly after they put the new lights in, that he was waiting for his dad after he had finished his chores, because they would always meet at the door, and then they would walk back to the house together with that lantern. Only this time his dad walked past him and started walking towards the post where the lantern used to hang. And he knew that because of force of habit, he was probably going to get the lantern. And sure enough, when he got to the post, he reached up to grab the lantern, but it wasn't there. And Dad said he broke out laughing because it looked so funny, and his dad got this sheepish grin on his face and walked over to the door, and they shut off the lights, and he wrote that they walked back to the house together under the brightness of the light from the bulb on the pole in the middle of the yard. That moment really made an impression on him, and it transformed the quality of life in rural Minnesota. Broadband has the same capacity to do that in rural Minnesota as well. And just like Senator Westrom said, you can't even imagine not having electricity today anywhere in the country. We need to get to that point with broadband. And as I said, we now know that it is a necessity, that our whole state needs it, that our whole country needs it in order for our whole country to thrive and to prosper. So again, I urge support for this bill. I think we need to do even more yet. The previous generation, the ones that accomplished rural electrification, they understood the importance of investing in their future. Even during the worst economic crisis in our country's history, we still invested in our future. We need to do that with broadband, so I urge your support. Thank you.
Final discussion on the bill. Next on the list is Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm reminded of the quote that rings our chamber by Daniel Webster. Let us develop the resources of our land, call forth its powers, empower and promote its institutions, promote all its great interests, and see whether we also in our day and generation may not perform something worthy to be remembered. Members, this is something worthy to be remembered. Senator Eakin spoke about the importance of broadband in our state and our state's history. And he likened it to when electricity came to the farm. My mother also talks about that day and how it changed their lives. And I'm glad that Senator Westrom brought this bill before us today. In this time of pandemic, focusing on solutions. Broadband is necessary for our lives in this 21st century. And during this time of pandemic, all of our school children are not in their schools, they're home, in their home schools. And their education is critical, and yet they are not in the classroom with their normal teachers. Broadband allows education to get to every kitchen table. But our kids need to have access to that. That means, yes, they need to have the actual devices, and the bigger issue is making sure the broadband is there, they have access. And I appreciate Senator Westrom's bill, which focuses on broadband grants to the unserved. That means those are areas that don't have service. That is critical. It's critical now in this pandemic for our education. It's critical for the future. The second part of this bill deals with telemedicine. Telemedicine is revolutionizing how we access medical care where and when we need it. And that's one of the things that crises do. A pandemic spurs on innovation, and it makes note of what is lacking. This broadband issue is significant. It will allow us to have a rural renaissance. It will allow all Minnesotans to be able, all of our kids to be able to learn. This is a great bill. Senator Westrom, thank you for focusing on this. We can no longer think that we are serving Minnesota when some parts of Minnesota don't have broadband access. With all those accolades, though, I do have one complaint. The map before us, members, the Office of Broadband map only includes wire line. It only includes access from a wire line. More and more people are getting access from wireless. And I encourage our Office of Broadband to update its maps to encourage. We don't care. I don't care if a student accesses the internet via his or her cell phone or iPad or their computer. It doesn't matter if it's wireless or wireline. I would encourage that the data that we get include both of those. Thank you.
Final discussion on the bill. I have Senator Marty, followed by Senator Kent. Senator Marty.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Westrom. I think this is a very much-needed bill. I want to make two comments. One, I think it was very helpful in the Finance Committee when Senator Champion and others pointed out that it's not just communities that have no access to broadband, period, but also to a lot of communities that have it, where there are lots of families and lots of kids who don't have the access to it. And I'm glad the bill was made clear in committee that this is to go to any of those kids who lack the access to connect for their schooling and everything else. That's very important. And also to make a plea to Senator Westrom, I believe the House has almost twice as much money now for the broadband access in schools, and I hope that in conference committee the Senate gets more generous in this. This is a big step in the right direction, but let's make sure we meet the need so that every student gets access. It couldn't be more urgent now with the crisis we're facing.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support of this, and I am grateful to everybody who has worked on getting to this solution. You know, this entire, the past few months, as we have been watching the effects that COVID has on our communities, obviously the health and the losses that we have seen, but the other types of ramifications that happens to our business owners and our family members, and some of this is an evolving realization that when we started distance learning just a few weeks ago, we knew there would be challenges, but it really took us getting into this moment and having the chance to assess the effects that we're realizing how this is affecting our schools. We are all familiar, those of us who've worked on education, with the expression summer slide, that students lose progress over the 3 months of the summer break. Well, now we're realizing and talking about a COVID slide. But we're also realizing that that is not going to be equal across our communities. We know that the disparities in education, particularly here in the state of Minnesota, exist and are being exacerbated. So that's why it's important we're doing this. But it's also important that we not stop here. Access to the internet is one thing. Making sure that even if you can get it into the family's home, do they have access to a router? Are they going to be able to truly connect to it? And I will also point out, in one of my school districts, North St. Paul, Maplewood, Oakdale, they figured out that of the elementary students in that district, 57% of them don't have consistent access to a device. And I will say I'm really grateful that 3M, which is in that very school district and in my district, has stepped up with a significant grant. But we need to do a lot more. We need to recognize that this is an important part of it. I'm really grateful to Senator Patricia Torres Ray, who is not here today, but has been a real advocate in calling attention and shining a light on this particular part of the challenge that our students and their families are facing. I also want to acknowledge Senator Chuck Uygur, who could not be with us today for a family matter, but he has been a tireless advocate as well to make sure that we are taking care of our students and that they can learn under all of these circumstances. And with a final bit of congratulations and thank you to all of our students and their families and all of the educators who are doing so much to ensure that all of our students can continue learning. But this bill is an important step in that progress. Thank you.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Westrom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, thank you for your great comments, the analogies, the stories about where our state used to be and where we are going. I appreciate your support, And I hope those listening across our state, possibly many students at home today listening, we are here for you to improve the rural broadband access across our state, to help educate our students, to help people work from home, to help telemedicine become more of a reality and a function that works. And Mr. President, members, this is the good stuff we can do here at the Capitol to invest in our state's future. As it's been said, rural broadband is the electricity of today. In 10, 20, 50 years, nobody will consider having a home or a residence or an office without internet, just like you don't consider having a place without electricity today. Members, this fall, or early winter, I should say, about back in January, I went out to a school district in my district, Campbell-Tinta, very small rural district near the North Dakota border, North and South Dakota border. And this topic came up. We had great visits with students first, or with teachers first, a great discussion with different teachers and administrators, and then we went into a student discussion. In a small school, you don't have hundreds. It's a very nice, intimate group. Everybody gets to speak. But internet dominated the conversation. And in that area, internet access is a restriction for many students. Now, they're on the map at about 73% wired, but many of those students that lived in rural areas did not have that access to high-speed internet, and they already were practicing some of these same things we have experienced during this COVID-19 for many other students across the state. It's those students in Campbell-Tinta, those students across my district, across your districts, across our state, that we're doing this bill for, and we're going to continue to invest in rural broadband smartly, target it, and get it out there. Because some areas are still unserved. And some have talked to me about, well, can we do more? Can we do some underserved? Can we update even areas that have already been improved? And my response to them is, let's stay focused on those unserved right now, because everybody needs access to the internet. Years and years ago, there was times where rural farm places didn't even have a gravel road going to them. It was a dirt path. Unserved areas of internet are like those areas that don't even have a gravel road to their place. And so this bill will be a big step in getting at least that basic internet service to all the places across our state, so they can participate in the e-learning and the other important things economically, job-related, just pastime-related. Whether it's getting a Netflix or reading a book or playing games. My children spend a lot of time playing online games with their friends nowadays. They don't even have to go to their house. And during this time of being at home from school, not seeing their friends, that is a natural and becoming a social replacement for many of the things they're restricted from doing right now. And you all know those same stories. But the internet has revolutionized what we can even imagine. When I graduated college in 1995, I don't consider myself one of the older timers here, but 1995 is getting a little in the distance, but not that far back. I graduated, we didn't have email in college. In fact, the college I went to was just starting to wire all the dorms the year after I left. That's less than 25 years ago. The internet has revolutionized how we do work, how we play, and how we operate all day. In closing, members, I think it's the most fitting. Bill Gates was once quoted talking about the internet. And of course, he and many marvelous minds around his company have revolutionized the technology and the worlds we live in today with computers. But as Bill Gates said, the internet is the town square of tomorrow. And members, I urge your support of this bill so we can connect all of those students and all of those unserved areas to the town square and what's happening in our worlds all across our state, whether it's education, whether it's work, whether it's healthcare related, or whether it's getting together with friends across the state on the computer. I urge your support. Thank you for your support of this. And members, there's more to come, but this is a great start and a great way to invest in rural broadband infrastructure for our state of Minnesota and those that are unserved.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 4494. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber and vote at your desk. Members in room 303 can make their way down to the chamber to vote. And while they're heading down, members in the President's office, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 323, please make your way down to the chamber to vote. And while they're on their way down, members in room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. 323 and 237. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in 206. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report an aye for Senator Bigham.
Senator Bigham votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Uyghur.
Senator Uyghur votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report an aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I will now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of those members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Ralph votes aye.
Senator Ralph votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rood votes aye.
Senator Rood votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Benson.
I have no further votes, Mr. President.
All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 97 on general orders, Senate File 2466, Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. This bill addresses senior financial exploitation. Vulnerable adults are the targets of many online and telephone scams. You've all heard the scam of a grandson calling a grandparent saying he's in an accident or in another country and the grandparent needs to send money immediately. Since 2013, financial institutions have reported to the federal government over 200,000 suspicious activities targeting older adults involving more than $6 billion. In elder financial exploitation involving a loss to an older adult, the average amount lost is $34,200, but that has likely increased since the last report. In 7% of these, the loss exceeds $100,000. In 2018, we passed a bill that, just like this, that would protect vulnerable adults for the broker-dealers, and it has been working really well. It allows them to freeze a transaction when they suspect fraud to give adult protection or law enforcement the chance to step in before the money is gone. Banks and credit unions are now calling their associations asking how to help these seniors also, who are often unaware that they are being taken advantage of. This bill would give those financial institutions additional tools to help their customers. A brief summary of the bill. This bill would allow a financial provider to delay a transaction if they reasonably believe that it may result in financial exploitation if the person is 65 years or older or a vulnerable adult. It delays, it does not freeze the account, only delays the transaction. The delay or the hold would expire when the bank has reasonable belief that it won't result in financial exploitation or 15 days after the attempted transaction. The hold may be extended for an additional 10 days. The banks and its employees would be immune from civil, administrative, or criminal liability if acting in good faith. This bill would also authorize a financial services provider to notify a third party associated with the customer of suspected financial exploitation. The bank would be immune from liability for notifying the third party. We also came to a compromise with the Bar Association that if a bank, in good faith, refuses or places a hold on transaction directed by an attorney in fact, the bank will not be considered to have violated the power of attorney statute. Also, a customer could always close their account, and this bill wouldn't prevent that. The bill also gives the customer the ability to appeal the freeze to the Department of Commerce. And one other important note that I said earlier, it does not freeze the account, it only delays that particular transaction. Supporters of this bill include the Highway Federal Credit Union, Elder Justice Center, and Sunrise Bank. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on Senate File 2466. Seeing none, the Secretary will give Senate File 2466 its third reading.
Senate File Number 2466, a bill for an act relating to financial institutions modifying provisions governing financial exploitation protections for vulnerable adults.
Third reading. Members, any final discussion on Senate File 2466? We're on final passage of Senate File 2466. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber and vote. Retiring room. Members in room 303 can make their way down to the chamber. 303. While they're on their way down, members in the President's office, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber and vote. 323, and while they're on their way down, members in 237, room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. Room 206. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the members' votes, those members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report an aye for Senator Bigham.
Senator Bigham votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Uyghur.
Senator Uyghur votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of those members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Ralph votes aye.
Senator Ralph votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 99 on general orders, Senate File 4091, Senator Curran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proud to present Senate File 4091 This bill is a technical housekeeping bill for the Department of Commerce. The proposal has two main components to it. The original is the first half it's a strictly technical and housekeeping changes, and then the second piece is around the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and Senator Utke is going to address that portion of it. The highlights of this bill is for the housekeeping piece of it. For market conduct exams, the bill clarifies that all documents pertaining to the insurance company's market conduct exams are considered confidential, and addresses a variety of concerns that everybody had been working on for many years. So we've come to a good peace in the valley. The second piece allows state-regulated non-depository financial institutions for applications for license and renewals to be made through the nationwide multi-state licensing system and registry. It also includes 3 non-controversial provisions for appraisal management companies that Minnesota is required to adopt. Federal Appraisal Subcommittee prior to its next review of the Minnesota AMC regulatory program. The bill also clarifies for national banks. The clarification ensures that national banks pledge the appropriate amount of investment within the Minnesota Guarantee Fund. It allows for the application of currency exchange licenses within the made through the multi-state license and registry. It clarifies the definition of sales finance companies in line with again industry standards and models. Modifies the branch location requirements to account for more clearly for out-of-state branches. It also aligns definitions for real estate or residential real estate. Again, matching standard existing statutes. And then the last elements are, it fixes some inconsistencies between insurance statutes and certificates of incorporations are no longer filed with the Secretary of State. Removes a variety of duplicate provisions as it relates to Section 60A.16, Subdivision 1, and it is only for the merger into a new domestic insurer while applies to other domestic or foreign. It fixes inconsistencies between insurance statutes as plans and mergers are also no longer filed with the Secretary of State. And lastly, it repeals the no transmit list. The law is written to conflict with current data privacy requirements. In an effort to keep consumers' identifying information safe, the department has not enforced this law since it was enacted. And with that, Mr. President, I'll turn the second half over to Senator Utke.
Further discussion on the bill. Senator Utke.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Curran. Members, I will touch on and address the portion of the bill that affects the Life and Health Insurance Guarantee Association Act. This is an NAIC model act that updates current law with respect to the Insurance Guarantee Association process, triggered when an insurance company faces insolvency. Just as a FYI, as of February, 27 other states have adopted these revisions to the Model Act, and more are coming online. While insurance companies are generally quite stable and well capitalized, every once in a while one faces insolvency, and the Guarantee Association steps in to cover policy commitments for the insolvent entity's policyholders. Over the last few years, we have seen indications of market challenges in the long-term care insurance marketplace. And this bill is a move to broaden and strengthen the Guarantee Association in case such an issue should arise in Minnesota. The Guarantee Association itself is made up of all insurers licensed in Minnesota to sell life insurance, accident and health insurance, and annuities, all of whom step up in the event a member insurer becomes insolvent. However, HMOs are not currently included, as they do not fall under the strict definition of accident and health insurance, but are their own entities under the law. This brings HMOs into the Guarantee Association both for their own protection and to provide a broader base of support in the event other insurers face insolvency. Additionally, under current law, health insurers largely cover the costs of a potential longer-term care insolvency, even though many long-term care policies were written by life insurers. This bill also seeks to strengthen the base of affected members in the event of a long-term care insolvency by bringing life insurers and HMOs into the fold. Finally, as part of the deal to bring HMOs into the association, we also provided them with the ability to receive the same tax offsets as other insurers in the event they are called upon to help support policyholders in an insolvent insurer. Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, discussion on Senate File 4091. Seeing none, the Secretary will give Senate File 4091 its third reading.
Senate File Number 4091, a bill for an act relating to commerce.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 4091. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 303, please come down to the chamber and vote. While they're on their way down, members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come down to the chamber and vote. While they're on their way down, members in room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. 206. I'll now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Bigham.
Senator Bigham votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Members, if you can please take your conversations outside the chamber so we can hear. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. We don't do that often in this chamber anymore.
I had a hard time hearing Senator Kent, just like you did. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Uyghur.
Senator Uyghur votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Senator Kent, we missed Senator Sparks.
My apologies. I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of those members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Ralph votes aye.
Senator Ralph votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
And Mr. President, I apologize, I was out of order. Senator Abler votes aye.
Senator Abler votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, the next bill up for consideration is number 21 on general orders, Senate File 3072, Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we begin Senate File 3072, I believe it's best to follow the language that is a product of an agreement between 4 caucuses, and that's represented in the A1 amendment before us today.
Senator Limmer offers the A1 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Limmer moves to amend Senate File number 3072 as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, this is the A1 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Limmer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President and members, the A1 amendment represents not only the initial product of Senate File 3072, but it also includes 4 other provisions. We added all of the provisions that relate to data privacy in this one bill. So there will be a total of 5 provisions that we'll be talking about. The first portion of the bill, well, before I get going too far, I need to thank some of our staff on the tremendous amount of work that was done just in the last 2 weeks regarding this bill. First, there's contributing members that have contributed some of these ideas. Senator Newman, Senator Hall, and Senator Dibble has given us quite a bit of advice, and some of the ideas that Senator Dibble has authored over the years, he and I both share that vision, especially when it comes to drones, also known as unmanned aerial vehicles. And I couldn't have had a complete bill without Senator Dibble's advice and direction. We've kind of played tag team on this over the years. And many of these ideas have been developed over recent years. The first section of this bill does involve the drone use by law enforcement personnel in the state of Minnesota. That's becoming more and more popular. It's becoming a much required and necessary tool for law enforcement, but nevertheless, it is a relatively new technology that Minnesota law enforcement uses. And of course, that type of technology begs the question of the proper balance between law enforcement and their use of this technological advancement in the result of drones, and that balance that we always want to find as it balances with the appropriate application of our civil liberty protection. The law enforcement's use of unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones, this bill removes statutory criteria for the publication of rules necessary. It requires law enforcement agency to obtain a search warrant for the use of an unmanned aerial vehicle unless there are exceptions. Exceptions would include law enforcement could use it in the aftermath of an emergency, over a public event where it might be a heightened risk to a terror attack, to conduct a threat assessment, for officer training or public relations purpose, and also allow the cities or counties that law enforcement agency is located in, they could use it for other purposes as well. It also provides limitations on the use of a drone. It prohibits the use of facial recognition technology. And as well as data collection on public protests. We prohibit weapons from being installed on drones. And as I said before, no collection of data over protests unless a warrant has been required. It classifies all data that a drone would collect as private or non-public data. It requires the deletion of that data within 7 days unless it's an active criminal investigation. This is very similar to our license plate reader law that we passed just a few short years ago. Among other regulations, the bill also requires reports in drone use from law enforcement agencies, Department of Public Safety, and state court administrators in the use of those drones. The second area is a publication criteria for the Court of Appeals opinions. I didn't know this myself, but the legislature many, many years ago limited the amount of printing of cases by the Court of Appeals. It would only allow certain cases that were designated to publish, and it has been a bit of a problem for attorneys that may want to have a record of certain cases that would not be published. We're removing that restriction in this particular bill, but allowing the Supreme Court to make that decision rather than the legislature making broad and sweeping restrictions to what the Court of Appeals actually publish. I think it's vitally important that we recognize a separation of power between the legislative branch and the judicial branch. And in this case, we're going to allow the Supreme Court to make the decision of what gets published by the Court of Appeals rather than this broad and sweeping action by the legislature many years ago. The third area is a search warrant required for electronic communication information. What that means is, and I think most people don't realize, is according to Minnesota state law, if your email data, those communications that are still on your computer, right now, law enforcement could rifle through your personal information that you communicate on a computer if it's over 180 days old. Senator Hall brought this to us, and it's a contribution to this bill. This particular law or bill, once it becomes law, would require a warrant just like any other information that law enforcement may need to seek for evidence. They cannot rifle through any of your personal papers that are represented on a digital file if it's over 180 days old. I think it's quite a strike and a blow for civil liberties in our state. The fourth area is actually regarding the use of tracking warrants. And a little background before we get too involved. In 2014, the legislature enacted a requirement that before a government entity could obtain location information on an electronic device, such as your cell phone, to locate where you are, the government entity had to apply for a tracking warrant. It was a bit of a hybrid warrant that came with specific requirements. Since then, there's been confusion about what courts should do if a request for a warrant could fall under either the tracking warrant provision or a different search warrant provision. This bill attempts to make the law clearer by exempting tracking warrants from the usual sealing and disclosure requirements for the statutes on warrants, for wire, electronic, or oral communications, and the like. The clarification on this bill would become effective the day following enactment. I was a little remiss. I have to let you know that Senator Newman was the one who contributed the information on the appeals court publishing of cases. The final provision in this bill also involved the location tracking warrant expansion to social media accounts. Current law defines several types of covered areas. Going back to that hybrid search warrant, it includes electronic communication service, internet, cell phone services, other electronic devices. But one new event that's happening is those who want to involve themselves in drug trafficking or sex trafficking are trying to bypass that communication and not use internet. They're using things like Snapchat. They're using some of the devices that Senator Westrom talked about. The games that children play on computers with another person far away has a provision that can be talked about, or you can communicate with the player to player separate from the internet. When law enforcement in Bemidji tried to get information off that, it was refused by the Snapchat company. And so this bill now allows it, and of course there would have to be warrants requested, time periods and report requirements, just like the 2014 statute that I talked about. Mr. Chairman, I think that almost covers everything in this particular bill, but I do want to acknowledge that this bill represents stakeholder agreements between data privacy advocates, the ACLU of Minnesota, the Minnesota Coalition on Government Information, and an organization called Restore the Fourth. Law enforcement, sheriffs, and chiefs of police also agree to this language, and local governments represented by the League of Minnesota Cities and the Association of Minnesota Counties. This bill is an attempt to allow law enforcement to do their work and even share the use of their UAVs or drones with other government entities for legitimate bureaucratic purposes while keeping them accountable to the public as we attempt to protect the civil liberties of our citizens. Mr. Chairman, that's the description of the A1 amendment, which is essentially the body of this bill.
Members, further discussion on the A1 amendment. Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would just like to rise in support of the A1 amendment to Senator Limmer's bill. and to thank Senator Limmer for putting together this bill and for his hard work and our partnership over the years on a number of these subjects which he mentioned. And I just wanted to speak briefly to two of them that I've had a significant hand in over the years. The first one, of course, is the drones bill, the unmanned aerial vehicles provisions, which has been, I think, something like 5 years in the making. Senator Limmer can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've been at it for 5 years, and I had the honor of being the chief author of the bill for a number of years, but Senator Limmer got it across the finish line, for which I'm grateful. I didn't want to go ahead and re-describe those provisions other than to say that it is the function of a great deal of conversation and debate and compromise with the stakeholders that Senator Limmer mentioned. And if you can get the Minnesota chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union and law enforcement, so the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and all of the professional organizations around the state to a point of agreement, you've probably got a pretty good product. Everyone hates this bill a little bit and loves it a little bit. So you think we're probably in the right place, but I think it strikes the right balance, and it's long past due. When we started off on this journey, I think one law enforcement agency had drones, and now most, if not all of them do, or at least have access to drones. And it's a very, very powerful surveillance technology, and we absolutely need to strike the balance between freedom and our individual rights and security and the proper needs that law enforcement has. And so this is a good bill, and I appreciate it. The second is the bill that is being carried by Senator Hall, having to do with requiring search warrants for law enforcement access to our electronic information, our emails, and the like. Simply put, this conforms the statutory law to the provisions of our both U.S. Constitution and our state constitution found in the respective Bill of Rights. Of course, everyone is familiar with the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. And in Minnesota, that exact same language is reflected in Section 10 of Article 1, which we call our Minnesota Bill of Rights, which has 17 enumerated protections. I actually have a bill that would embed the language of this law into our state constitution. I tend to be allergic to state constitutions, but in this case, I think this would be a well-warranted change, so hopefully we can at some point pursue and embedding that into our state's foundational document by a vote of the people. The language that we have before us shouldn't even be necessary because, of course, it says that a person's papers and property and effects are free from unwarranted searches and seizures, or they require a warrant, but for some reason law enforcement has not interpreted our electronic communications to be either papers nor effects, and so hence the law change is before us. And so it's a good one. I think Minnesotans would be surprised to understand that all of their emails that are older than 6 months can just simply be rifled through and perused by an external law enforcement authority. And so we're remedying that shortfall. The other provisions, again, the tracking warrants, the balance that we strike in the bill subsequent to that, allowing for tracking under certain circumstances, but making sure that that also rises to the level of a warrant, and the appeals court opinion publishing changes that I think Senator Frentz is going to speak to are all good. It's a good package that does. I was going to end up with a quote from Henry Steele Commager, a historian who was an observer of the McCarthy era, in which he said, "Freedom is not a luxury that we can indulge in when at last we have security, prosperity, enlightenment. It is rather antecedent to all of these, for without it we can have neither security nor prosperity nor enlightenment." And I think this bill fulfills that aspiration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion on the A1 amendment, Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to rise to comment on the Court of Appeals opinion portion of this amendment and say that we should support it. It's supported by the Minnesota Bar Association and generally relates to the reporting of Court of Appeals opinions. And as Senator Limmer already said, this will become the purview of the Supreme Court. If you're practicing in appellate law, this is significant. And for those of us practicing lawyers out there, it's a positive change. Thank you, Mr. President. Glad to have the opportunity to address you.
Any further discussion on the A1 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the A1 amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members voting in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Members, we're back on Senate File 3072 as amended. Further discussion? Senator Limmer, can we go to third reading quick?
Thank you, Mr. President. One quick correction. Senator Dibble, you had mentioned that law enforcement may not have known the difference regarding the use of drones or other data collection, not in drones, but in the use of over 180 days on collecting data from one's, let's say, email record. Actually, I was here for that debate. It happened about 23 or 24 years ago. It wasn't law enforcement that made that decision. Unfortunately, it was a decision of the Minnesota legislature that allowed that 180-day window for law enforcement to be authorized to go through our records. And so we're correcting a wrong that I think has been long awaited. And in closing, Mr. President, in the beginning, I thanked the involved senators that were involved in writing this bill and contributing to it. But I would like to thank our researchers and staff that did such a tremendous amount of work, oftentimes being the conduit between different parties as we negotiated. I'd like to thank our nonpartisan Senate counsel, Priya Premo and Ken Backus, for their work. I'd like to thank Jackie Clinton, the Democrat Senate research person, as well as the Senate Republican Caucus Research, Linnea Michelson, and our committee administrator, Angela Cook. A tremendous amount of work, tremendous amount of hours. I know that because I was exhausted by keeping in communication with them, but they were doing even more communication as well as helping to write this bill. So I wish to thank them as well. They did a tremendous amount of work, and I think it's a good quality product. Thank you, Mr. President.
See no further discussion, the Secretary will give Senate File 3072 its third reading.
Senate File Number 3072, a bill for an act relating to public safety.
Third reading. Seeing no final discussion, members were on final passage of Senate File 3072. The Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 303, please make your way down to the chamber to vote. While they're on their way down, members in the president's office, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber and vote. And while they're on their way down, members in room 237, please come to the chamber and vote. Members in room 206, please come to the chamber and vote. 206. I will now call on Senator Kent to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report aye for Senator Bigham.
Senator Bigham votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Carlson.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Clausen.
Senator Clausen votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Eaton.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Hayden.
Senator Hayden votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Isaacson.
Senator Isaacson votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Klein.
Senator Klein votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Lane.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Latz.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Little.
Senator Little votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Newton.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Pappas.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Rest.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Sparks.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Uyghur.
Senator Uyghur votes aye. Senator Kent.
I report aye for Senator Wickland.
Senator Wickland votes aye. I'll now call on Senator Benson to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Senator Dames votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Senator Newman votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Ralph votes aye.
Senator Ralph votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Senator Rude votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Benson.
Senator Abler votes aye.
Senator Abler votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and it's titled agreed to. Remaining under motions and resolutions will revert to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. The Secretary will read the committee report.
Senator Westrom from the Committee on Agriculture, Rural Development, and Housing Finance, to which was referred Senate File Number 4395, a bill for an act relating to agriculture, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, and when so amended, the bill do pass and be re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Pursuant to Joint Rule Number 2.03, the bill was referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration. Senator Benson from the Committee on Health and Human Services, Finance and Policy, to which was referred Senate File Number 3560, a bill for an act relating to human services, reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows: delete everything after the enacting clause and insert, and when so amended, the bill do pass. Pursuant to Joint Rule 2.03, the bill was referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration.
There's no further action required on those reports. Members, before we go to Senator Gazelka to recess, are there any announcements? Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to announce that the Jobs Committee hearing will begin 15 minutes after adjournment. Members, it's important we have a quorum. We do have a bill up to pass out of committee today.
Any other announcements? Members, I have a very special announcement. Today is May 4th. It's my mom's birthday. So to my wonderful mother, Susan Miller, I'd like to wish her a very happy birthday today. Any other announcements? Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I was going to say something to Susan that I had to remind you, but that wouldn't be true. So, Mr. President, I move that we recess to the call of the President.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate recess to the call of the President. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is in recess.